They called it a routine hunt, nothing out of the ordinary, nothing worth remembering. Just another evening in the Appalachian foothills, where shadows stretch long and the air carries the scent of pine, earth, and something faintly metallic beneath it all. Jackson had hunted these woods for years. He knew their rhythm, the way the forest sighed when dusk approached, the way the dogs stiffened when they caught a scent, the silence that fell just before the world shifted into night. But this time, something was wrong. Late afternoon light filtered through the towering pines and fractured beams, gilding the undergrowth in gold as the boars were spotted moving toward a clearing. The kind of place hunters liked, open enough to see, close, enough to trap. The men joked as they moved, their laughter a thin defense against the quiet that pressed too heavily around them, while even the dogs, normally loud and restless, stayed low and silent with tails tucked, hackles raised, straining against their leashes but refusing to bark. "Too quiet," Marty muttered, but the others brushed it off. When the herd broke cover, it was sudden and violent. A dozen young boars scattering through the brush, their bristled backs vanishing into shadows. As the hunters fired in clean succession, rounds ringing out like thunder, no misses, no hesitation. The dogs pulled forward, snapping at the air, eager for the chase. But even in their excitement, something in their bodies remained rigid tense in a way that suggested fear rather than hunger. By nightfall, they had their haul, Jackson loading the carcasses while the others tended to the fire, their voices growing looser with drink and smoke. Later, alone in his tent, Jackson scrolled through the drone footage from the day's hunt. A habit of his born from a mix of pride and paranoia, because he liked to know what he might have missed. At 2 minutes, 12 seconds, his thumb froze. On the far edge of the clearing stood a figure, and at first, he thought it was another boar massive. Black, a brute of a beast, but then he noticed the shape of its body. The legs were wrong, too long, too thin, almost like stilts sunk into the mud. It didn't move, didn't flinch, just stood there, head tilted, studying the hunters with unsettling patience. Jackson zoomed in, and his gut went cold. The eyes, those, were not animal eyes. They were human, flat and unblinking, gleaming in the failing light like glass marbles. The next morning, the men went back out, trying to shake off the unease. They dropped another handful of hogs, but the forest seemed different. Every rustle in the brush carried weight. Every shift of wind felt like a whisper against the skin. And Marty complained of hearing heavy breathing just over his shoulder, though the woods lay still and empty. The others laughed, though their voices cracked too easily. When they returned to camp, Marty volunteered to stay behind and secure the gear. But by dawn, he was gone. Jackson found his tent unzipped from the inside, his flashlight lying on the ground. The batteries drained to nothing, though they'd been fresh that morning. And around the campsite, the mud bore prints, not the sharp cloven hooves of pigs, not the boot treads of men, but something in between, long and misshapen. They circled the campfire again and again, a spiraling pattern carved into the dirt, and then nothing. The trail ended as if swallowed by the earth. Search parties spread through the hills for 2 days, and they found Marty's rifle propped against a fallen log, barrel slick with dew, and his phone snagged in a tangle of briar near the riverbank. Its screen cracked, its last video file corrupted into static. They called his name until their voices went raw, but the forest swallowed every sound. Marty was never seen again. On the second night, Jackson dreamed of hooves, heavy and deliberate, circling his house in the dark, and he woke drenched in sweat, heart pounding, certain it was only a dream. But when he stepped outside at dawn, the porch boards were smeared with mud, prints looping around his cabin 3 times before trailing off into the trees. And when he checked his watch, the time read exactly 2:12 a.m. The number began to haunt him. Every time he rewatched the drone footage, the figure appeared, waiting, watching, fixed at 2 minutes, 12 seconds, and no matter how he scrubbed through the file, it refused to move forward or backward. Just that single frozen image, long black, body, human eyes gleaming.
If you'll enjoy this video, please like and subscribe my channel for more information.